This is the 17th season of Bass Talk Live with your hosts, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrat. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Bass Cat Boats, APCO, Ducket Fishing, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, X-Zone Lures, Yamagatsu, The Bass Tank, and Denali Rods. BTL coming at you. Good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL, where Matt and I are going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing, Mark?
Last night, a little freshman basketball, got the W. Been working on some projects, all right? School projects that are tied into bass fishing, if you can believe that.
Okay.
What a better way to engage my class than to get involved with some things bass fishing.
You don't happen to teach a statistics class, do you, Mark?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I do not. But kind of worked a little bit on that yesterday. Going to be working on that all this week.
You're just going to tell us that you're doing a project that has something to do with fishing and not say what it is?
Well, it's all creative, right? It's basically one of the projects that they have this week is to come up with a fictitious tackle company and build a logo and then cut a 30-second spot. Very, very, very basic stuff.
Do these guys know anything about fishing?
A couple of them do.
But you wanted it because you could judge it then accurately?
Well,
or how did you decide fishing?
Why not?
Okay. What did they say? What did they say?
They all know
it?
what I do.
So they're going to be out there like pretending like they're fishing?
No. It's all based upon stuff that they can get. Like there's a pond right next to the school, and they can go out and do whatever by the pond.
Now I want to see these. So it'll be like Big Jim's lures.
Whatever they come up with. They got to come up with a logo.
Well, that's
cool. And then a 30-second spot. So we're working on that. It'll be interesting to see what they come up with. A lot of creative kids in that class, but it's not really what we're trying to get that media class built into. It's really more of a broadcast journalism class. Next year, we're gradually building up our own network. Like we're streaming events now, and we want to do coaches shows, and we actually have some companies that are going to get involved, local companies, from a sponsorship standpoint. The whole dynamic of sponsoring athletics at the high school level from a monetary standpoint is really starting to change. Obviously, it's more digital now than it ever was. It's a lot more than just getting a banner on the side of the fence of the football game. And it's not just us. It's really everybody across the country. Schools are getting more and more involved from a digital perspective on marketing and digital advertising and everything that goes along with that. So fun stuff. I will definitely share some of the lures that my students come up with for this project. Good show today, man. Andy Montgomery, we're going to have him on, talk about 2021 with Andy, talk about his very adventurous 2020 and some of the things that he has going on. Then tomorrow, KJ Queen, already starting to receive emails, Matthew, questions about the Rogue Show on Thursday with Frank Scalise.
Oh, it's a big deal.
So
we're also going to get to start talking about tournament bass fishing again.
Hopefully, that's the plan.
No, we will. The Toyota Series kicks off on Sam Rayburn in 2 days, Thursday.
Hang on a second. What's the over-under on number of double-digit fish caught in that event? What would you set the over-under at?
2, 3? I mean, it's still rare to catch a 10-pounder. 10-pounder's big fish, Mark.
I get that.
3?
But this time of the year on Sam Rayburn.
3 10-pounders in a tournament that's big.
So you take the over or the under on 3?
I say 3. I take the 3.
I don't think you'd have too many people take the over. That's not a real good betting line.
Okay, then
2.
2.
Yeah.
That I'll take. I don't know. I'll take the over.
I don't know.
I'll take the over. There was supposed to be, and I don't think we even mentioned this on the show, there was supposed to be a Toyota series that also kicked off on Thursday on Lake Shasta.
Yeah, everything in California got canceled.
Yeah.
Everything.
The Shasta Trinity National Forest Service, in response to the coronavirus pandemic, prevented anglers traveling more than 120 miles away from competing in the event. Interesting.
A lot of stuff going on in California.
So they postponed that, did not cancel it. So we had literally just talked about, do you think, and I understand this is not a tour level tournament, but it's up there. You're paying over $1,000 for your entry fees.
Yeah.
We didn't even make it to the first one. And it's already postponed.
I think part of the reason is, the big reason is, it was in California.
Yes.
California is doing some very, very stringent guidelines when it comes to everything out there.
Yes.
So I was not shocked when I saw that press. I think that press release came out Friday.
Okay. I was
Thursday
trying
or
to.
Friday.
I will say this. So the new Major League Fishing website, it is very easy to find the schedules for everything that is going on.
Yeah.
And then a lot of guys are down in Florida now. Lake Okeechobee kicks off the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit February 11th through 14th. And then Redcrest is rapidly approaching February 21st through 25th.
Yeah.
So
a lot of traveling. That's man, that trip down to Florida,
then,
you're going to find out.
Bassmaster.
It is it's quite the trip. It's
I've done
almost
it.
just like going to California.
I've done it multiple times. I've driven down there to cover Elite Series events.
Mm-hmm. That was a few years
and
ago.
Down there, well, yeah. Oh, I know.
And you weren't pulling a boat.
No.
It's a little different.
My question that I have is, after that event, I don't immediately have to be back. Is there a way that I could find someplace to keep my boat while I go fish it for sheep's head off the pier? Because it'll still be early. The sheep's head
I'm sure there's somebody in the state of Florida that will let you park your rig.
Obsessed with
somewhere.
sheep's head fishing. You get the fiddler crabs. You've never done this, have you?
I have not done this, no.
You get the fiddler crabs because they love the fiddler crabs, and then you have a scraper, a barnacle scraper, and you walk out on the piers and you like peer over at the right tide, and you see these black and white bars on them, and then you scrape the barnacles off, and then all the sheep's head go there, and then you have a Carolina rig or kind of a drop shot style, and you put a little fiddler crab on a
moving
like
crab.
a drop shot hook.
The crab
It's alive.
is moving.
Yo, it's
Yeah.
fully alive.
Yeah.
You can get them in the mangroves, or you can buy them if you're lazy like me. And then it's doot, 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 and then boom, you lift straight up, and they're 1.5 pounds to 4 or 5 pounds. Delicious. Limit's 15.
How big?
1.5 pounds to 4 or 5 pounds. Now the
how
problem is you have a pier that's a vertical pier, right?
Yeah.
So you're anywhere from 6 feet to 12 feet above the water. So these things are dumb but finicky.
Yeah.
They're hard to hook, they're hard. So you can't use like rope line, but 18, 20 pound test. And then you've got the barnacles that you have to contend with. So
Yeah.
what ends up happening is, you're catching them and it's blah, blah, blah. And you didn't tote your net down there because you can't even net them. And then boom, you hook a 6-pound sheep's head, and halfway up he's dangling and he breaks your line because you got a nick at the barnacles. It happens every time. You look down and you're just like, I'm never going to land this.
So what's the
sheep's head.
biggest one you've ever caught?
Like a 5-pounder.
Wow.
Oh, they're phenomenal. And they're really tough, and then you have to get the red meat out of them, but you can either saute them or broil them. They make great for tacos. You can bake them. You can do all sorts of stuff with them.
Yeah.
One of my favorite fish to catch.
You know what I tried last night for the first time? It was a Christmas gift that we got, and we cranked it up last night for the first time. One of those things called, and forgive me for being stupid, but I just don't know. They're like air fryers. What are they called?
That's the hottest thing going right now.
Yeah, is that what they're called?
Air fryer,
fryers?
yeah.
So we cooked some tilapia.
Oh, you have the
last
air fryer.
night. Yeah.
Legit?
It was pretty good, and it was very, very quick. You just put some spices on there, put a little covering on it. It was tilapia is one of the few fish that I like. I don't know why.
And striper.
And striper. All that other stuff, not really. Not a big salmon guy. I don't know. You probably like salmon on the pellet grill.
Yeah.
Not the case here, though. All right. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to get Andy Montgomery on here in a few minutes. I got to say a couple things real quick first. A little bit of housekeeping. As everybody is probably well aware, Matt is going to be fishing all 9 open events. Which, by the way, before I get into this, I want to ask you a question real quick. I was thinking about this last night. And you don't have to go into a dissertation. And we might have discussed this before, but I could not remember what your thoughts were on this. Should the spots for the Bassmaster Elite Series only be considered to those people that fish all 9 of the events? Or should the people that fish, like it has been for years, fish just one open and you take the top 4 guys or whatever the number is, 3, 2, 1. I don't know what the number is. In other words, when you take 9 events, I do know that we've had this discussion, that you really get a good indication on whether or not the guy is a stick and you truly earn a spot rather than just getting fortunate or dialed in 3 events. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we've talked about this.
That's what I thought.
Ad nauseum. I think that it's a business decision by Bass, because if you're just moving those guys on, I know a guy who called and he's like, are you in the opens? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, are you confirmed? I said, yeah. He said, well, I'm number 90 on the waiting list.
Oh, jeez.
So, if you're doing 3, 3, 3, and 3, which is what it is now.
Yeah.
The goal is to fill it up and get the entry fees in, because Bass gets a cut of that, right?
Yeah.
So as long as business is good and things are filling up, I think for the sake of Bassmaster, now for the sake of getting it, yeah, there's going to be a fraction of the guys that are fishing all 9 that are fishing all of them. Yeah. But I also understand that it's unfeasible for someone who is ready to fish the Bassmaster Elite Series to maybe fish all 9 of them at this point in their lives.
Does it not get them in a better, condition, I guess is the word?
Yeah, it would definitely help, but I also understand that there's very few guys that are in my position, or Bradley's position, for that matter, that can take off for 3 months and travel around.
Do you have any idea how many are fishing all 9 yet? Do you know?
Yeah, I have a unofficial inkling.
Like 30? 40?
It's a fair guess.
Okay. That's a pretty good number.
1 in 10 then?
Yeah, that's not bad.
No.
And it will definitely be earned. All right, so having said that, Matt, he's going to be gone for a number of days throughout the year fishing all 9 of the opens. So I think our lineup is pretty solid, but when you add in the fact that Bradley Hallman's going to be with Matt, so I don't really have anybody to pinch hit. So yesterday, I solidified who we're going to get to fill in for some of the dates while you're gone.
Now, I'll be able to fill in for a number of them.
Well, not when you're practicing.
Oh, hell yeah. If I got a good...
Dude.
Yes.
We will get into this discussion, because what you're doing is your future. And your future depends on how you participate and how well that you do in these events. So, yeah, we'll take a phone call from you, all right, and check in. But your focus needs to be on the task at hand. And the task at hand
we'll talk
is
about it. I've got this all figured out.
Anyway,
we'll talk about it after.
The time that he is going to be gone, that he is going to be unavailable, 2 guys are going to pinch hit for you. All right, the first one being Frank Scalise.
Okay.
Frank jumped in this year, joined us obviously for the day 4. Frank confirmed with me yesterday that number 4 will continue, and we will have Frank jump on some of the days when Matt is not available while he's gone during these 9 weeks of the year. The second person, which I had discussed a little bit and then got it firmed up, solidified yesterday, is Ken Duke.
Very nice.
All right. And I know that there was a suggestion on the comments on the YouTube aspect that, hey, we need a day 5. Well, here's what we're going to do with Ken Duke. Ken has agreed that not only is he going to pinch hit for Matt when Matt is not available, we are also going to add a day 5, maybe 2, maybe 3 times a month. All right. It just depends on my schedule. So you're going to get some months where you're going to have 5 shows.
That's 20 shows
per week.
That's impressive. I'm not nervous about getting replaced, as I see in the comments. I'm nervous about running out of money during the 3.5 months. So if I could work something out with Mark where I have just a small income stream coming in, it's worth an hour of my time to make sure that I've got an internet signal so that I'm still available to be on BTL.
No, we'll get that worked out.
There's a whole
financial
element to this, but considering that there's 5 and 6 week
You got
to
understand that your focus has got to be on the task at hand. All right? It really does.
No, well, obviously, but do you also not understand you're the guy who's saying, well, there's no way Brandon Polnick's going to catch fish because he's going to be focused on his camera and making this elaborate show.
I did say that.
And then he goes out and he wins Angler of the Year and is 1-4
I hope that happens to you.
So what you have to understand also is that in my realm, I've grown up doing BTL. I've grown up doing the interviews. I've grown up to it. So it's not oh my God, I have to take an hour out of this deal to do it. If it's part of the process,
I agree with
then
you 100%.
there's no way it's... Now, Andy Montgomery, on the other hand, on his final practice day, if we're like, hey, find a quiet cove for an hour and a half, he'd be like, hell no, I got to go skip a jig.
Well, that might be the case with you. Anyway, I had to make sure... All right, because of the obscure bodies of water that he might be in where he may not be able to get a cell signal or whatever the case is. I mean, maybe you're not on fish. If you're not on fish and you're having a brutal practice, do you seriously want to jump on this show and spend an hour and a half?
No, but I'm sure the fans would love that.
I'm sure they would
be a treat. Just completely spun out in the middle of a popka. Manatee swimming all around me, tarpon jumping around, can't catch a 12-inch buck bass, massive cold front coming in.
Anyway, so quite the lineup, though. Hopefully Matt can join us as many times as he can. But we will definitely have Frank. We will definitely have Ken Duke. We will definitely be doing more shows with Ken Duke. I think the feedback and the vast knowledge that Ken Duke has is something that the fans want more of. So quite the lineup here on BTL from a angler perspective, from a historian perspective, from a lure expert in Frank Scalise, and obviously throwing a little Bradley Halm in there. And that's quite the lineup, Matthew.
Absolutely. That's a good deal.
Good stuff there. All right. Anything else, man? We're going to take a break here in a few, but anything else?
I was trying to think. No, it's kind of that crunch time where everybody is either finalizing their stuff, spending the time on the water. There's really no big announcements this time for it. You got some guys that are already practicing, and I think it's kind of the calm before the storm. And then it's just going to be bam, 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 championship events, tour events, elite series, BPTs, everything is all just going to explode here in the next month. So it's an exciting time, actually. Unless you're planning on fishing Lake Shasta this week and you lived more than 120 miles away.
Yeah.
But hey, they'll get that rescheduled.
Hopefully they'll get that in. Shasta is a cool place.
I've never been there.
Very, very
I have
cool.
not done many. I have only done, covered the Clear Lake and the Delta event, and that's it.
Yeah.
The coolest thing ever, though, is seeing those sea lions on the buoys.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, Brian A. asked, any word on the response back from the White River Marine Group? And the answer is no. All right, so I'm going to give them one more day. I'm going to follow up with the PR agency that has White River Marine, and if I don't get a comment, the comment is going to be, we do not have a comment at this time. So I don't know why they don't want to come on and talk about it, but it is what it is. I'm going to give them one more day, and then we'll go from there. So let's do this, take a break, come back with Andy Montgomery here on a Tuesday. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
exceeded any and all expectations I had.
It really opened up my eyes to things that I never knew happened.
I'm not sure what kind of voodoo they've included in the software, but it's incredibly impressive.
He was messing around, just pitched a little crappie jig in there, and all of a sudden you see the jig come right down in there, and you see the fish come to it. I mean, it was like that.
It's just a complete different universe that we're taking this fishing to. There's no bass safe out there.
Active Target by Lowrance. Game on.
Basscat's legendary 20-foot platform has been paired with angler-approved accessories for 2021. Puma FTD features the proven hull used by many of the top names in bass fishing today, backed by a transferable lifetime warranty. The Puma FTD boasts a full team deck concept which enhances efficiency for you and your tournament partners. Turnkey tournament-winning performance. The Puma FTD SP from Basscat.
The Ned Rig. What rod should I be using with the Ned Rig? My favorite is the Denali Lithium multi-spin rod. It's our 7'4" length, great Ned Rig rod. It's got a great sensitive tip on it. It's long enough where I can make long casts, which you're usually fishing clear water with a Ned Rig, and it's got enough backbone to get those fish in. So check it out, Denali Lithium Series 7'4" multi-spin.
Guys, what makes our Spro lures beat the competition?
I mean, you have to admit, we nailed it with my McSticks and rock crawlers.
Man, we've all won money on my plugs.
My Wamic shop put fish in my boat. One thing's for sure, we all count on our Spro lures to beat the competition.
Designing cutting-edge baits with some of America's top anglers. Spro lures beat the competition. To see the entire lineup, visit a retailer near you or spro.com.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
You've been waiting all week for this, and Sunline wants to make sure you're ready for it with bulk spools of all your favorite fishing lines.
Oh, it's so fun.
Bulk up with Sunline. Big companies get bigger and bigger and talk about their fancy labs where they study fish behavior, but then they all go golfing on the weekend. We don't have a large laboratory to test baits. Why, you ask? We don't need a big laboratory because our pros fish, our employees fish, our salespeople fish, our suppliers fish, our mold builders fish, our owners fish, and our kids fish. This is our laboratory. Our R&D comes from time on the water, learning how to make fish bite. All that time on the water brings us thousands of hours of testing new products and improving current ones for all species.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
While I travel the country on the Bassmaster Elite Series, I simply can't let the weather be the reason I don't win $100,000. That's why I use AFCO clothing to keep me warm, dry, and protected from whatever Mother Nature wants to throw at me. My season depends on it. My career depends on it. Atpo. Any fish, any water.
Everyone, Brandon Palnick here. People always be asking me what I got tied on. And I'm like, X-Zone lures. And they're like, Brandon, why you got X-Zone lures tied on? And I'm like, let me show you why. The bite.
Get out of there. Get out of there. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's freaking digging. Get in here. Oh, God. Giant. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I think you get the point.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday. It is time to go to our special guest.
Have you seen all these virtual boat shows that people are doing?
No.
There's all sorts of virtual boat shows going on.
Really?
I bet the pros like that.
So how does it work?
Oh, yeah, you like log onto their website, or they have like a
dealer or
website
the
for the
manufacturer?
boat show, and then like manufacturers, all the people are available. But I mean, this is the boat show season. A lot of the pros spend a lot of times eating hot dogs from concession stands and standing on concrete floors talking with people who have absolutely
I'm sure
no intention of purchasing a boat.
I'm sure Andy Montgomery has some great boat show stories as he smiles.
I bet he hasn't had to stand on the boat show floor room one time this year.
No, because there probably hasn't been any. Let's bring him in.
And I bet
Andy.
that's probably a good portion of his winter, spring time.
I don't know. Let's see. How are you, Andy?
I'm good. How you guys?
Doing good. All right. So what was the last boat show that you worked?
That's a good question, because actually the last boat show I worked was last year, and it was here before coronavirus really got to be a problem, and like half of us got sick. Yep, really bad sick. I got sick. John Murray got sick. Marty Stone got sick. Coronavirus or COVID-19 or whatever you want to call it was not named at that time, but I'm pretty dang sure we had it.
So do you have a memorable visit that you've had with a potential buyer or a fan over the years at a boat show that just sticks in your mind?
Oh, man, I don't know. I'd have to think about that. None of them just jump out. But you are right. A lot of them have no intentions of buying a boat, that's for sure. Used to not have intentions of buying a boat. I don't know. It seems like everybody and their brother's buying a boat nowadays, right? It's incredible how many boats they're selling.
Yeah.
My buddies in the boat deal say it's crazy also. You have guys who you think are going to buy who don't. But then there's other guys who are like, walk in, talk to you for 5 minutes and go, yeah, I'll take that one.
Yeah, that's right. Not judge a book by its cover. Ain't that what they say?
Yeah.
You
Hey,
never know.
Do what now?
You never know.
Yeah, your volume's a little low. They're saying it's a little low, so you might have to talk a little louder,
right.
Andy. All right, man. Let's talk a little bit about 2020. You had all kinds of stuff take place throughout the COVID part, but how would you sum up 2020 for you?
It was good. It started out really good, and then we had the COVID break, and I didn't do great in the last two events. I did okay, but I didn't do any good at Toho, but it was a good year. It was a really good year. We didn't get to fish as much as we usually do, which is not good. But other than that, it was another year. Time to move on.
Now, you had the situation with the tractor. It was well documented. That was kind of crazy.
It was, and I mean, it just happened so fast, and that's when I posted that on Facebook, you had a ton of comments, and I started it with "it's just another day" because it was for me. I'm either fishing, hunting, or I work on the farm, and the thing I can't explain is how fast it happened. Before I could think, I was 20 foot deep, trapped in a skid steer. No way out. The front door wouldn't open because of the boom. It's an enclosed cab deal, and it just was not good. But I was able to go out. There's an emergency exit on the back. I remember it. You got to pull this key, and I was able to bust my way out and swim like a bass, and I survived. So, but like I said, I posted that on Facebook, and the thing that really sticks out to me is there was an EMT or one of the emergency workers. He posted back, and he said, "I've seen some horrific things in my life, a lot of death, and they all start out as it was just another day," and that's kind of what stuck with me.
Gotcha, man. All right, 2021. What are your thoughts before you make a cast in 2021?
I'm ready to fish. I guess because I didn't fish as much last year. Can y'all hear me good? Is they still?
Yeah, they're still saying you're a little low. I don't know if you can bump up your level or not.
I did. What about if I just go to the audio on the computer?
Okay.
Yeah, give that a shot.
We're trying here, folks.
Uh-oh.
Now we got
froze.
locked up.
How about now? Good?
Oh,
Good?
yeah, that's much better, but you got to turn... Oh, now we got a reverb. Will that settle down, Mark?
I don't think so.
I can hear you twice. That's like my nightmare.
That is a nightmare. I guess that's all our nightmares, right? We tested this and it worked good.
I know.
Do you want to side off and reside back on with this audio, and maybe it'll...
You want me to just click off and come back in?
Yeah, why don't we do that? Let's do that. All right, we're going to do that. Try it out. We do the test.
Plug-in headsets from now on, Mark. No wireless, because that's
the AirPods just don't work.
That's the only theme that I've noticed over the past week since you've tweaked this stuff is the AirPods.
Yeah.
We got to go to the plug-in headsets.
I mean, even the cheap ones work better. The ones that are less than $10.
And it only is the audio is only weird if you're listening to it on a certain type of device.
Yeah.
Because there's some people that can hear it fine, but there's something with the transition of...
Yeah, I don't know.
You know more than me. You've got a million wires down here. There's somewhere the AirPods don't translate very well.
Yeah. A lot of times when you're doing remotes and you're trying to stream, wireless is fine, but hardwired always works better. It's the same thing with the headphones. All right, let's bring it back in. All right, you there, Andy? You there?
He'll be able to hear us here in a second.
Oh,
he's got the really good ones actual good ones. But I think he's got his volume muted.
Good now?
Oh, that's so much better.
Can you hear me? Maybe we should have did that from the
That is so much better. Right? All right, let's just start this thing.
Oh, look, it's Andy Montgomery. Welcome to BTL, Andy.
Y'all do this live, so we can't just cut it out
in the replay,
right?
Jeffries can clean it up a little bit for the iTunes,
audio, yeah.
for the iTunes, which is where the majority of the listeners come from.
Yeah.
iTunes, just a select few get to see your face.
Yeah. So we learned something today, Andy. That from now on, any guest that we have on, the AirPods just don't work.
No,
they just don't work.
This is our first show, so.
Well, it's not our first show, but anyway.
I was thinking we're into the thousands, aren't we?
Yeah. I don't know why. Yeah, it's amazing. All right, Andy. What have you been doing during this time off? Have you been fishing a lot? Are you tinkering around? I mean, what's been going on? I know it sucks not being able to fish tournaments and stuff like that, but typically everybody says the same thing. Have you done any different during the break?
I probably fished a little more. I didn't bass fish. I striper fished. We like to go chase them, chase the birds. That's kind of fun. So I did a lot of that. My nephew, he's 11 now. He's really, really into fishing, so that gives me a little more motivation to fish around here, if that makes sense. And it's been fun. So doing a lot of fishing. I also got the new active target. I seen y'all's commercial a minute ago, so that's a whole new deal for me. Been playing with it, and that thing will it'll definitely help you catch more fish, and it also teach you that you're not as good as you think you are.
Why do you say that?
Because crappie fishing, or I call it crappie, Now, I know people listen to this show all over. So crappie, crappie, sockeye, white perch, whatever the heck you call them.
Specks,
yep. So when I used to catch 8 or 9 beside a dock pole or whatever, and then they'd quit biting, I thought I'd got them all, right? No, there's a 200 more down there that you ain't going to catch. And it's just amazing how many fish are there and how fish react. And, striper fishing, or some people call them rockfish or whatever, if the fish wasn't in a feeding mode, I didn't catch him. But I could see when they was in a feeding mode, I was fixing to catch him. And a lot of times I just see them sitting there, and you can wind your bait right through them, and you can forget it. So it's just it's a great, great tool. It's another tool to make my brain hurt a little more, trying to figure out what's what. And that's what it is. It's a tool, and it's going to be our job to learn when to use it, when to not let it hurt us, when to let it help us, and all the above. Because you can get mesmerized watching them dang fish swim around and swim up to your bait and all that good stuff.
Now, we hear a lot about the forward-facing technology, obviously offshore. But, I mean, you're a dock guy. You can fish offshore, too. You can catch them anyway. And we haven't really talked about this. For the dock guys who are now experiencing the forward-facing sonar for the first time, does this change the way you approach it? I mean, I'm remembering, was it Table Rock on the floating dock there where you're skipping the white jig? You were catching just tons of fish around it, but you really had no clue what was underneath there. I mean, is this going to change the way that the Carolina guys and the dock skippers and the jig skippers fish when they're on dock lakes?
Yeah, probably some, more for the cover aspect of it. Brush piles or stuff that's under, because that was a shad spawn tournament. The shad spawn fish move around so much within a marina or within a set of docks. So, you could probably see which slip, a lot of them was under that day. But I've already been thinking about that. That's for sure. Old school dock fishing, I'm really paying attention if there's any old rods laid on the dock, if there's any rod holders. That kind of clues me in. They might be brush, and then you take your jig and you kind of feel around. Now you ain't got to do that. You can just pan over there and see what's there. Or I've been debating on how to position my active target. Do I put it where it's going straight off the front in line with the trolling motor, or do I put it at an angle to where, most of the time you're fishing a dock, the boat's kind of sideways. That way you can see under the dock the whole time. So brush pile, around here, brush is really big deal on docks, and it's a big deal anywhere we go. This is just be another tool to help me figure that out quicker and know when I need to slow down and maybe drag my jig a little more through the brush piles.
That's interesting, because I've heard a couple of guys mention that, and I promise you, so right now we're at the stage where it's like, you have all three on the front deck? Oh my gosh. Yeah. This is going to come, and it's probably, we're going to see it maybe this year. You're going to see a guy with two live scopes, two active targets, one on the trolling motor that he can track the fish and find it, and one where when he's anchor locked, spot locked, he will have one that he can move freely then and target it on the same. So you're going to see two of the active target or live scope transducers on the front deck as opposed to just one. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been watching these crappy TV shows on TV, and they already have two on theirs, because they got two guys sitting side by side. One guy's controlling the trolling motor. The other guy's got one, just like you said, on a stick, and he's looking. I don't know in the bass fishing world if we'll have one on a stick. I'm sure some guys try it, just because it takes another hand. You know what I mean? I don't know. I do know some team tournament guys, bass fishing team tournament guys that have one mounted on the back deck. Right?
Wow. There you go.
Yeah. They have an old trolling motor bracket on the back deck, and I don't know, guys. Where's this going? You know what I mean?
You're going to make money on it. Andy's deucer on a stick.
Well, that's what I'm asking, Andy. Is this too much? Are we getting to the point where this is just over the top to where are we going from here?
Boy, that's a touchy subject there, Mark. That's kind of
Yeah.
like politics, right?
It is, man. It really is.
My biggest question is when the Alabama rig came out, right? We banned it. And the biggest argument was, where does it end? That was their argument on the Alabama rig. Do we throw 9 baits, 20 baits, 29 baits, 100 baits? Where does it end? You got to put a limit on it. And then, a lot of the local trails started putting a 5-wire limit or whatever. That was the argument on the Alabama rig. And I see a lot of parallels here. You can't, politicians can, but, how can you make one argument the one way and make the exact same argument on something else and it not go? You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I'm all for technology. I'm all for every way to catch more fish. And the Alabama rig, I think we jumped the gun on it. And hey, I voted when we had a little vote. You want to ban it? I voted to ban it. I did. It was. I regret it to this day.
Really?
Yeah, I do. Because every time I vote on something, I try to do it for what's best for the sport, not what's best personally for Andy. And hey, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't want to. Thought of having to make 9 swim baits run straight. I have a hard enough time making one run straight. So it was just a personal deal that I didn't want to fool with making, keeping 9, and I've caught them on it. And that was just that was one of them personal decisions I made when I should have stepped back and looked at it as a whole for the sport. Now, we got more information now. I mean, we know it's not the end all be all. It's just another tool. The Alabama rig, right? It's not like it was when it first came out, just like the chatterbait ain't like it was when it first came out. It's just another tool. But on the electronic side, where are we going with this? When is it going to be another tool? We already see fish don't get under your boat as much as they used to. You got to cast to them. I don't know. I just hope we don't get to a point where, in them smallmouth lakes where you say, dang, there's a 5-pounder over 500 yards away. Put your life jacket on, man. We got to idle over and get him. And
that's happening, dude. That's already happening.
Yeah, and you put your life jacket on. You idle 500 yards to catch a 5-pounder.
Not that far, but you can get within a quarter pound of crappie. You can say, "Oh, there's one that's 2 pounds."
Yeah, they do that on that show. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, where's it going? It's not there now. Where's it going?
Do you not think that it'll just max out when it's? I mean, practicality-wise, you're going to run out of room on the front deck. You're going to run out of places to put the transducer. And it's like the Alabama rig. Like, I have a 9-wire one. I have a 7-wire one. I have strung them together. But practically, you're like, kind of reaches its limit at around 7 wire. Let me ask you this real quick before we get back this, because this is a perfect example. And I didn't mean to go down the Alabama rig path, Mark, but the BPT, could you guys not vote on that with the way you have it structured? And then with the BPT being about the action and the fish catching and all that, could you guys not say, hey, I think we need to go back, and then you go to whoever your lead guy is, and then you vote on whether you can use the Alabama rig per state rule that you're fishing on their waters?
Yeah, I think they did vote. They voted on it, when we first started. I'm sure everything can be revisited, but it was voted to not bring it back in.
Because in the cups, can you still use it in the cups?
No, you can't use it in the cups to start with, right?
Oh, okay.
And then when the BPT came about, it was voted against, and from what I remember, it was voted against, and then they wanted to make it equal. You couldn't be able to throw it in the cups and not throw it in the, because me and Ott did throw it in the, we threw it at High Rock in one of the cup events. Yep. And I didn't even have none, and anyway, I had to dig mine out.
All right, Andy, I want to reflect. We could have this argument, discussion, whatever it is, on electronics with every guest that we have on this show.
Oh, yeah, right.
I mean, it is what it is. It's going to continue until some rule is put in place, and when the rule's put in place, we'll have a discussion about what they did with the rules. So
Yeah, right.
we're gonna move on.
It is a talk show. I mean, it's-
well, we're gonna move on because here's what I want to know. There's a couple things I want to know. One, I love talking about memories. All right, and I want to know, be it good or bad, you are very, very well known for your dock fishing. I want to know a dock story, either a catch or a failure, that is memorable in your mind, that has taken place over the past, I don't know, a few years, many, many years ago. Something that really sticks with you about something that took place when you were dock fishing.
Oh wow. I need to get these questions beforehand so I can come up with a.
You didn't get it for the pre-production meeting?
Nah, we don't do that.
We don't have no pre-production meeting. A very memorable dock story.
Either a catch or a failure or some clown on the dock that you had to deal with, something.
Oh yeah, we dealt with some. Well, I fished a dock at Lake Norman in the open, and there was a giant snake. I'm talking about a giant snake laid up on the dock, and the dock owner was out there, and I said, "Hey man, there's a big snake down here on your dock, right under the float. Be careful." He said, "Oh, that's just Bertha." I said, "Bertha?" And then he hollers at his wife, "Hey, honey, Bertha's back." And here they come walking down there, peeking over the edge of this snake. Now, look, I turned my trolling motor on high to get away from the dock, and I was in the water. It was huge. And they come down there to look at Bertha. Not a great story, but that's the first one that popped in my mind. I got plenty of dock fishing stories, I'm sure. I've been run off docks, obviously. I don't argue with them like a lot of guys do, that this is public water. I just leave, and it's frustrating, but I just leave, and most of the ones that come down there and fuss at you for fishing docks and tearing up their docks have them great big boats sitting in them, right? And you like, what do you think that thing does when you pull it out on the water and run up and down the water? But I don't know. I ain't got no great one that just comes to mind.
Do you like the fact that you can like get out of the boat and go get your jig back and stuff now? I mean, I think that's
yeah, absolutely. And I get I got a bad habit, I guess. If I see a lure hanging on a dock, I go get it. Hey, they've already took our we can't fish some marinas as it is, right? And I'm scared that they might take our right away to fish docks, period. But we got to do our part, right? So if we get hung, we need to go get it. Don't break off. Just go get it. Of course, I've been chased by dogs running back down there. At Eufaula this year in the BPT, a guy, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "Man, I'm just getting my lure back. I didn't want to leave it on your dock." "Oh, okay. Hey, I'm going to be honest. Look, if my little girl ran down on a dock and stuck a hook in her foot, I'm going to be mad at every fisherman in the world. You know what I mean?" And so that's kind of how we, could do our part, If something falls out of the sky that a pilot threw out the window or something and hits her in the head, I'm going to hate every plane there is.
You gotta be careful. Mark's kid's a pilot here, Andy.
I'm serious. That's just,
Yeah.
So I'm scared about, them taking the right. They are already doing it in marinas, and we just got to do our part. And the rule to get a lure off of a dock is a big deal. I remember way back early in my career, I had that conversation with Bill Taylor. Bill probably don't even remember it, but, we couldn't get out. And I'm like, "Bill, man, if I get hung up, I need to go get that, not for my advantage, not because I need that lure back. I got 100 and more jigs in my boat. It's just we don't need to leave that jig hanging in that rope."
Yeah.
Do you have any tricks of getting hooks or treble hooks out of wet rope? Because, you've done it hundreds of times, and that's where I always find the nose of the boat goes in. Now you're hitting the dock, you're scratching your boat, you're up in their boat, you're yelling, your rod's almost falling in. It's a nightmare. Yeah. Have you figured out a way to quickly get a hook out of rope?
Not quickly, but it's just like getting it out of your skin. You got to try to get that barb pushed down and away, push against the hook to push the barb away from the rope. And no, that's aggravating too. And that's another thing. That's a big fear of mine, Sometimes you can't. Them little nylon ropes, you just can't. A big old jig, And then you say, give me them scissors. And I'm scared to death that dock owner is going to be up there with his binoculars and see me get out on his dock with some scissors, fixing to cut his rope to get my jig back. But a lot of times you got to cut, a little hole just to get your lure back. That's aggravating, though. We need to invent something. There's our $1 million idea, right?
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Be a cool idea. I was thinking about a story, and this is many years ago. Obviously, Grand Lake. And he's got a lot of boat docks on it. There was a BASS open angler, and this is from many years ago, back when they were the BP 150s. And I was actually fishing with him in a team tournament on Grand. He went up to a dock. He got his jerkbait caught in a rope. And it was a special jerkbait that he spent hours and hours and hours trying to get it dialed in to suspend just the right way. And he's like, I'm not leaving that jerkbait. There's no way I'm leaving that. And he went up there and he had to cut the rope off. Well, he had $20 in his pocket and an envelope, and the boat that was in the stall had windshield wipers on it. It wasn't covered or anything. And he took the $20 bill and wrote a note and put $20 in there and left it on the boat's windshield for the guy to buy another rope.
That's a pretty good idea. I need to carry some cash with me. That's great. That's awesome. So it reminds me of, and I heard this story. I hadn't talked to Britt personally about it, but he got tied up in one of them, what are they, gill nets or whatever they have at Falcon.
Cast net. Oh, yeah, one of the, yeah.
Yeah, and they some people in a canoe come over there hollering at him, "You broke my net! You broke my net!" And and I think they was hollering $20, and he said he started throwing hundreds at them just to get out of there. That's the story I heard.
Wow.
He was cut. Yeah, he had scissors cutting it out of his prop, and but that's a pretty good story. You have to ask Britt about that.
Yeah, we need to follow up on that one. All right, the second thing that I want to ask you from a story standpoint is from Matt's house to Grand Lake on the interstate, you will see ponds there, and some are small lakes. I mean, they're just large ponds. And when the turnpike was built, they dug those out to put in the bridges, to use the dirt from these ponds to build the bridges that are on the turnpike. Dude, I can't tell you how many times that I've driven that turnpike and looked over at these ponds and go, man, I know there's fish in those ponds. I've always wanted to stop and fish in some of those ponds that just look lights out, that you know that there's fish in them. Have you ever, in the Carolinas, seen a body of water, be it public or private, and thought, man, I really, really want to stop and fish there, and then end up either going back or stopping, fishing this pond or body of water, and end up catching fish? Has that ever happened?
And it's Jordan. I've never been on Jordan Lake, and when you're going up 85 to like Kerr and all, you go over, and it's just beautiful. You go up to far upper reaches of it. And then we actually fished a BPT there, and I got to go back to that bridge. And I've drove over that bridge, I don't know how many times, and looked at it and thought, God, that looked so good. And then actually able to go back and fish it. So mine would be Jordan Lake. But I didn't know, and I used to, I got an engineering degree. I used to work for the state. I didn't know that's why all them ponds was close to the road.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Pretty neat, but and you broke out just for a second, so I'm not. Did you say Florida or
Oklahoma? Oh, yeah. In between Tulsa and Grand Lake.
I got you, but in Florida, them ponds is everywhere too, and I think Florida is the state where you drive, trying to watch the road, but looking around, thinking, man, I'd like to go fish over there. That's the one state that just beautiful bodies of water, little, big, everywhere.
I would struggle doing that. There's multiple things that can bite, kill, drag, pull you in Florida. Like, even if I know there's like a poisonous snake species there or something, I'm like, let's not pond fish. But I mean, in Florida, You literally have things that are like, oh, look at this idiot.
Yeah, they got pythons and they got pythons now, and then alligators. And I mean, I agree with you there. I'm not scared of no alligator, but I'm pretty scared of a snake.
Have you seen a python down there?
No, I hadn't personally seen.
Have you, Mark?
No.
You see,
them
TikTok viewers and YouTubers, they'd be catching them, diving in on them and stuff. Crazy.
Yeah. Minnesota is another state, Andy, that has those ponds and little lakes and stuff.
Yep.
When you're driving all over the place, you're like, man, that looks good.
Yep. New York, upstate New York has them too. But yeah, and we fished a couple cups in Minnesota, which was cool. Because we got to fish a lot of them little lakes you're talking about. Pond fishing used to be really fun for me, and I don't get to do it much anymore. But there again, my nephew's 11. He loves it. And he's like, it's a lot harder for a pond owner to say no to a little cute little 11-year-old, right? So maybe I'll get to sneak in a few ponds just because of him.
Do you do the kayak thing?
No, I'm too big for a kayak.
I keep saying that.
That's me and you beginning in a
That's right.
kayak. Ain't no way I could get in no kayak.
I think you guys could. I mean, there's a lot of kayak fish. Some of the top kayak fishermen are like 6'4", 6'5".
I have seen that, but
but once again, snakes.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, I'd come out of that kayak.
It all comes back to snakes.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I want no part of that. All right, man. Business side of Andy Montgomery. Any changes coming in 2021? Is there anything that you can tell the fans that you're going to be adding to your sponsor lineup?
No, True Timber Camo would be the only one. I don't add a whole lot of sponsors. I just kind of I have a really good base of sponsors that pretty much cover everything, and we've seen the fishing camouflage kind of come about the last several years, and so True Timber Camo will be part of my wrap, and excited about that. But other than that, all status quo for Andy. Thank goodness, because you see a lot of changes this year in the industry.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of, I guess you would say, inside the industry, and I still look at Instagram or whatever and see this guy's running this boat and be like, "Oh, do what?" You know what I mean? I do it just like the fans do it. It's like, dang. And but no, all good. Still same sponsor lineup other than True Timber Camo, and ready to go. We didn't get to fish a lot last year, so I'm more ready to fish this year than I ever have. I've been listening to a lot of these podcasts too, and that makes you want to go fishing.
Yeah.
It does, and there's a couple local podcasts here, so I like to listen to the local scene. And Shane Lineberger does one. I guess y'all probably know Shane and some other guys. So I don't know. When I'm working on my tractor, I turn on a podcast or whatever and listen to it, and it makes you want to go fishing.
Absolutely.
Who do you talk to most? Like other tour anglers during the off season? Like you just call up and talk on,
Jamie Horton and Ott's probably the only two I talk to a whole lot. I mean, me and Thrift still talk. Brian's got into deer hunting now. He used to give me a hard time. Him and Ott both about deer hunting. Why you deer hunt? Where are you deer hunting? Now they both deer hunt more than I do. And so it'd be Brian, Ott, and then Jamie Horton. You gotta be careful with Jamie though. He's such a big Alabama fan. You gotta pick and choose what you can say and what you can't say. And that's open limits for him. He can say anything he wants, but you better pick and choose, right?
Give us one good Jamie Horton story. There's so many Jamie Horton. If you don't know Jamie Horton fish, obviously he's been known. He's won how many hundreds of tournaments in Alabama?
Yeah,
couple hundred.
Yeah,
couple hundred fair.
Local lanes, yep.
Won the Bass Nation Championship. Fished the Elite Series. Fished the FLW Tour.
Yep.
Is he fishing it this year?
Yes.
The pro circuit. Yep. I know he'd had some health issues and stuff and back up, but dude, give us a story that Jamie would not tell on air, because I mean, there's stuff where we've gone through it. There's like bobcats in the live well, alligators in the rod box, pet deer and foxes.
yeah, they call him Coon because a raccoon jumped out of the trunk of his car and attacked him. I think that he had thrown the raccoon in the back of the car. Hey, here's the thing. He's not scared of anything but people. He's scared to death of people. And we actually deer hunt a little bit together, and you know, we'd be up in Kentucky, and he'd get there later than I am, and I'll tell him, the key's under the mat at the cabin or what. He won't go by himself. You can forget it. He is not staying anywhere by himself. He won't do it. I'll be in the Dollar General. Here he comes walking in. He is not going to that cabin by himself. There's a story that his wife, their bedroom was upstairs, and his wife tripped and hit the door going to get a drink of water in the middle of the night. She said next thing she heard was click, click, and she started hollering, Jamie, it's me. That dude, he's petrified of people. Diehard college football, Alabama fan. I won't say hate. I don't pull for Ohio State. I don't. Probably one of the teams that I just am never going to pull for. When Ohio State beat Alabama 2 years or 3 or 4 years ago, whenever they did, that joker didn't talk to me for 2 weeks. And I don't like Ohio State as much as he don't. He disappeared. I was about to call Becky, his wife, and see if he's still alive. He's just
wow.
He's a different level college football fan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you ever ocean fish, Andy?
Not much. I throw up too much. I've been out. I love inshore fishing, but I've been out 5 or 6 times. I get motion sick bad, even in bass tournaments.
Really?
Oh yeah. So it's just something I deal with.
Do you have to take something like when you go to Erie or Champlain or those big waters?
I just have to be careful. I don't get sick in the tournament. So this tells you how much mental it is. But in practice, I do get sick, and I don't take anything anymore because I read, we was at one of them Great Lakes, and I read where you take one Dramamine before you go to bed, get up the next morning, and you take another one. I went out there that next morning. I did that, and I was so sleepy I couldn't hold my head up. I felt my head hit the steering wheel one time. And I'm serious, and it's scary. And I got back in the truck, and I had to go, and I don't remember part of the drive back to the motel. And next thing I know, I woke up at 7 that night where my wife had called me. So they make me too sleepy, so I quit taking Dramamine and just kind of deal with it. I just got to limit how much I look at them graphs, because that's what'll get you. Looking down. But I just deal with it. I don't get sick in the tournament, which makes no sense. That tells me it's mental more than anything. But, when you practice and you pull up and you look out there, you're like, oh, boy, this ain't going to be good. This ain't going to be good. I had to, you talking about ocean fishing. I ocean fished one time, and I was hurling, hanging onto that motor and hurling, and my buddy was horse laughing at me, big weenie, blah, blah, blah. We went back out the next night, and I was good, and he was hurling. And he said, I'll never make fun of you again, man, ever. That's terrible if you've never been motion sick. It's just it's a terrible, terrible sickness. I enjoy saltwater fishing, though.
But even on smaller lakes, like a Texoma or a Grand Lake, I mean, if it's a little rough and you're idling, you'll feel some motion sickness there, or it's got to be big water?
Yeah, it's big water.
Okay.
It's Great Lakes, which is probably more of the mental factor. I don't know. Hey, if you ever get motion sickness one time, you'll never forget it the rest of your life. Period. You just won't. So yeah, but it's all big water that I get sick in.
Hey, have you ever fished docks on the Great Lakes?
Yes.
In a tournament?
Yeah. Tournament. Yeah, St. Clair some in the river.
Oh, okay.
We fished that one when St. Clair something was wrong with it. It was really tough, and we was running all the way to Erie. And then I would stop, on the way back through, and fish them. But no, it'd be interesting though, in the Major League Fishing format. Can you keep up catching a lot of 2-pounders, 2.5-pounders, you know, in a Great Lakes format.
Yeah.
I don't think you can. I don't know. I think we'll find out at St. Lawrence this year. Because if it was still a 1 pound, you probably could. But man, there's a lot of them you catch that's not 2 pounds. They're 112s, 113, 114. 2 pounds is a big difference on that type of deal. It'll be interesting. The St. Lawrence is going to be very interesting to me, format wise. You know what happens, just because we've never been to a situation like that.
They were supposed to have the last FLW championship there, and it ended up getting moved, right? And it was going to be an every fish counts deal on the St. Lawrence.
Was it St. Lawrence or Champlain?
It was St. Lawrence. It was 100% St. Lawrence.
Wow. Yeah,
and it got moved because everyone was it was a big deal going into it on how that would be won, because there'd been so many tournaments up there, but never under that format.
Right.
Because it takes...
This year in the elites, who was it, Brock Mosley? I don't know where he ended up, but I know going into the last day, he was right there with largemouth in the 5-fish format. So, I don't know.
It takes, 6-7 minutes to land a 5-pound smallmouth in that current if you're in the river, wouldn't you say? How long does it take to...
Yeah, I ain't thought about that side of it either.
I mean, you can crack and crank a lot of largies in the time that you follow around a smallmouth on 6-pound test.
Yeah. And I tell you, the last time I went to St. Lawrence, the largemouth fishing wasn't as good as the first time I'd ever been there. It seemed like it progressively got worse, and the smallmouth fishing got better. And I don't know if it's because more people fish for fun up there now for largemouth or what, but first time I ever went, you could have kept up. That's for dang sure, because there was one under every dock. There was, sometimes 2 or 3.
Wow.
But it wasn't like that last time, not even close.
Yeah.
And we see guys do good in the 5-fish format starting out, but they can't maintain it on largemouth.
Yeah. So if we walked out to your shop where your boat is, garage, whatever the case might be, is everything intact right now? Would you be pretty much ready to go?
Pretty close. Well, everything's in position to get ready to go. My wife's a pretty good organizer, so she's better at that tedious stuff than me. So everything's hanging on its wall. It's in its place. So yes, it wouldn't take me long to get ready to go. I don't have my boat yet, no, because the wrap team got COVID, so we got that delayed, hopefully this week. But other than my boat being here, I'm fairly ready to go.
So what's your wrap going to be?
It's to be the Bass Pro Nitro and then the Fisherman National Tournament Trail. Same one I've ran for years, since I had the Farm to Feet sock wrap, which kind of transitioned into the Fisherman National Tournament Trail. Same guy, behind it all. But, so no changes there, which is good. Thank goodness.
You gonna be doing any high stakes team tournament fishing this year, Andy? Maybe for $1 million.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I guess y'all seen the Alabama.
Well, okay,
where they letting a lot of
all those, but we've got that weird deal, the Bass Pro deal for $1 million, high stakes team tournament.
Where's that at?
We don't know.
We don't know.
No one knows. It came out in some meeting in March or something, and I've got a screenshot of it, and it's a team tournament if you own a Nitro or a Triton or a Ranger.
It's called the U.S. Open, but it's not the U.S. Open.
It's Johnny's tournament. $1 million. Qualifying event, $1 million team tournament in September. Serious? Yeah. I figured you'd know that.
No.
I was hoping to get some juice. Everyone's like, what's going on about it?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. But it's real.
Is it? You sure it's real?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, the sources that we have said yes. It was presented in a Zoom meeting to a number of people, and the picture that we have is a screenshot from that meeting.
Wow. I need to get on the phone. I need to call Bryan and Ott, make sure I got somebody lined up. Who should I choose, Ott Defoe or Bryan Thrift? What would
we want to know. Who are you going to choose?
That's a coin flip.
Me and Bryan's won a lot of tournaments together, and we fished so good together. I'm sure me and Ott could too, but that much money on the line, they might go with old familiarity. Yeah, and me and Bryan compliment each other because he's so dang good offshore that I know my role is getting the back and shut up, and
yeah.
And then when we go shallow, I kind of take over. But $1 million team tournament, sign me up. Sign me up. I don't care if it's in Mexico. Sign me up.
Brian ever had to replace the carpet in your boat from cigarette birds?
I got some Bryan Thrift stories. That dude, he's what they call it, OCD, but his boat's so meticulous, it's unbelievable. If you eat a Bojangles biscuit, you better not drop a crumb, or you better pick it up and throw it over the side.
Wait, in Bryan Thrift's boat?
Yes.
The Bryan Thrift?
Yeah, he's meticulous.
I did not know that. Did you, Mark?
No, I didn't.
Are you serious?
No, like Charlie Hart. Okay, here's the two levels. Charlie Hartley at one spectrum, Jeff Creed at the other end. Where does he fall in that?
He may pass Charlie Hartley.
No, really?
Serious?
I didn't know that.
He'll have his handles turned exactly in line with his rods when he lays his rods on the stick.
Now I have noticed that he does like a nice arsenal spread out on the front deck, but I thought that was just because he always had 35 rods and he got sick of doing that deal where you pick one up and then just shake them, and then you spend the next 10 minutes playing Where's Waldo from the line. No, so everything.
Yeah, so next time you're around this boat, just go jump up in it and look in one of his compartments. It's amazing.
He's always been like that.
Yeah, oh yeah. I got it wasn't me, but Louis Hoyle, who made Shooter Jigs. I'm sure y'all have heard of a Shooter Jig. He fished with me and Bryan a lot, and he didn't put the pliers exactly where they go. Bryan kept looking back, and finally he stopped fishing and put the pliers right where they go.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one reason it makes him so good, because his stuff's always. I mean, he's Aaron Martin's, Charlie Hartley level tackle organization, boat clean. You could eat off his shop floor at his house.
Wow. Really, we have to. While we're talking, we got to put Brian Snowden in that group too.
Yeah, I hadn't been around Bryan enough to know.
Brian's really,
he's like that.
Really impressive as his organizational skills.
It's impressive, right? And then people like me. I'm just kind of jealous, So if you're jealous, you talk about them.
You're pretty clean, organized guy, though. I mean, like, you're not a fly by the seat of your pants. You do a lot of prep and organization, right?
Tackle wise, I feel like I'm very organized, and then like I say, if I fish with Bryan so long, he makes me feel like I'm very unorganized. So if I never knew Bryan Thrift or never fished with him, I would think I'm on the Charlie Hartley level of it, but. He's just different level organization.
Wow. All right, man. I have to ask, how much fun or how much of a pain was it shooting those commercials that we see during some of the MLS stuff? A lot of takes. Did you guys have some fun with it? What's the scoop on that?
Oh, it's fun, and actually some of the stuff that made the show on the Lucas Oil commercials were actually outtakes. When you see me and Rose, and I think I holler, "Come on, man!"
Yeah.
And we're actually hollering. We're actually giving Aaron Martins a hard time because he's kind of up on the hill, and Aaron talks a lot, and so he's talking, and of course they want everybody to be quiet, blah blah blah. We're at Lake Fork. That's where it was filmed the day before we fished. And so we're hollering at Aaron, "Come on, man, be quiet." And it actually makes the show. It ain't one of them where they say, "All right, we're rolling." That's we're hollering during the outtake, and that's what made it good. Just filmed a General Tire commercial this fall, which was a lot of fun. Them guys, Mark. So I filmed that with Mark and Ott, and they both got a great personality, funny personality. I'm not sure how much the producers have fun with it.
The Lucas Oil one, you were
doing
the heavy lifting. Yeah.
Well, they told me, in the script it says, you say 19, 20. I'm like, I'm a little bigger boy than 19 and 20, so I went on up to like 2,000 something or whatever I said.
That was pretty funny.
They're good commercials. It's fun. Like you say, there's a lot go into it for a 30-minute or 30-second spot. It's amazing how much time it takes for a 30-second spot.
Yeah,
and then they crack that makeup open. And you're like,
do they really?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah, we got a makeup artist there, and she cracks that thing open. I'm like, what you gonna do with that? She pulls out the Q-tip and all that stuff. I'm like, hold up.
Who likes that the best? Who just loves being on the set out of all those guys, the General Tire and all that? Like, who's the one guy who's like in his element that fishes?
If I had to guess, it would be Skeet Reese. Now, the reason I say I had to guess, because we filmed a couple new commercials this year, but because of COVID, they split it up. And Skeet and Edwin was actually there the day before me. Ott and Mark was there. But I heard Skeet cuts up a lot on the show. Probably the makeup will be Ott. You know, he likes to get pampered. He gets his toes done and all that crap.
Wait, Ott, we're learning so much about so many anglers today with Andy Montgomery. Wait a second. Ott gets pedicures.
Oh yeah. Him and James Watson, they like to go get them pedicures.
I didn't know that either. Anything else you want to share with us? You got anything on Biffle? You got anything on?
No, Biffle told me he was gonna cut me one time, and then I seen him that night in Walmart. He was all good. I like Biffle. You know, when the chatterbait first come out, of course I was one of the first ones to have it, right? And I was fishing as a co-angler, and I was with Mark Pack in the back of Coffee Slough at Pickwick. Right?
Really?
Yeah, Biffle was like, And Biffle was catching them on the chatterbait back there. Well, he thought I was throwing a chatterbait because he was throwing it. And I came out of the gate throwing, I ain't throwing a chatterbait. Seen me do it on TV or something, huh? And that's a Biffle story. It's a good Mark Pack story too. Yeah. Mark was head deep in his front saying, I know I got one of them things. I said, I got some more, Mark. He said, I know I got one of them things. He was head deep. It was a pretty cool day too, just seeing the power of that. Something new. You know, like I said, it's something new. Because Mark would flip all around them cypress trees, and then I could bring that chatterbait beside the same cypress tree and catch one. It's pretty amazing, really.
Wow. Hey, Joe on the instant feedback wants to know, are the shooter jigs still being made?
Not much. Louis, you can get some from, I think it's called, it's a drugstore in Vail, North Carolina. You can look that up. Not much. He fell going down the ramp. Louis 72 now. Fishing in the winter, slipped, messed up his shoulder. That was a 2-year process, surgery, prostate trouble. So he really cut back and just doing what he can now. Yep.
That's a long answer to saying he just makes them for me.
No, I use my jig, the Strike King skipping jig.
I've been using that a lot too. It's got that so I just discovered like the actual benefits of the screw in around the shank of the hook.
Yeah.
Like I always used to just be like, these, I don't like them. I like them now. I like the heck out of them now.
Yep. So that's the one I use, and sometimes I do some different colors, and Louis ties them for me. But yeah, that's the one that I'm using now. But I'm still partial to a hand-tied skirt. Just keeping it, in place and all that good stuff.
I used it a lot this year. I would actually turn your jig into a finesse jig.
Yes.
By trimming the collar and making it, short, look like a finesse jig, because I like the size of the hook in it. And then, if you're throwing in a little bit muddier water and the shape of the head, I got a handful of the green pumpkins and a handful of the black and blues of your pitch and skip, flip, skipping jig or something. What's it called?
It's just a skipping jig. Now, the new reel, they called it the pitch and skipping reel.
Okay.
But it was basically designed for skipping. But yeah, so the jig's just a skipping jig, and that's the one I use.
All right. Hey, what's over your left shoulder there on the board? It looks like tickets or something.
Hang on, let me figure out what my left is.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a ceiling fan, but then that was the other one.
That's my just my little, there's my All-State cards. I don't know, it's just paper
stuff.
Okay, I got
insurance. This, my wife does a little bit here. This is all. We live in a pretty small house. See, look, there's my little girls, like cash register, right?
Oh.
She can read me out at the grocery store, stuff like that. So soon we'll have a bigger house, but right now my little desk is over here in the corner, and so is my wife's, and all the above.
Great stuff, Andy, and we really appreciate you coming on the show. Great stories, as always. Somebody on the instant feedback says, hey, we need to have a day 6 with Andy Montgomery.
Hey, I'm going to be watching Ken Duke. I can tell you that. That dude,
yeah.
I love talking to Ken. He'll text me and say, hey, I need a quick 2 minutes for a story. Can you call me? And immediately I know this ain't going to be 2 minutes. And it's not on Ken's end. It's on my end, because I'm going to be asking Ken questions, right?
Yeah.
He's just, he's amazing what the knowledge he has of our sport and how he thinks very deeply. And, yeah, I'll be watching them shows when I'm driving my skid steer, hopefully above water and not in the water.
Yeah.
And that's your pond?
Yes, I built my pond. I built me a pond, something I always wanted. So, having a lot of fun with it.
Like, did you get the pond boss books and all that, and like have the actual like ridges and rock piles and stuff? And
no, I didn't do all that. And I'm not. I don't care about growing big bass. I mean, I got them in there for my nephew. I want to catch a big old brim, about the big as your hand or the big as 2 hands. So, I don't think you got to do all that to grow big brim, do you?
I don't know. I think you have to have like a feeder, and then you have to maintain the pound of bass to pound of brim ratio.
Yeah. So at the beginning, I was going to put all females in there, so it wouldn't overpopulate. I was worried because I knew it'd be a moody pond, but just would.
Yeah.
But I was going to do that, and the problem with that is, they can't sex them until they're like, they call them yearlings, or 12 or 13 inches, right? Do you know how much a fish is that's 12 or 13 inches?
That a brim?
No, a bass. I was going.
Oh no, it's got to be like it's dollars.
Oh, it's like $14 a pound.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Wow. It's unbelievable. I'm like, no, just put me them little old bitty ones in there. Whenever they get big enough, I can tell. I'll make sure I eat all the males I can and leave the females.
You need to talk to Kelly. Kelly Jordan. He's got a heck of a brim pond.
Really?
Oh yeah, he goes out and smokes them. He
really
fly fishes for him. That's how many there are in there.
Yeah.
I used to do that when I was little, and I'd see how many I could catch at one time. See, I invented the Alabama rig before it was even invented, because I'd have like 5 flies on my 5 rod.
That's called a Sabiki rig, Andy.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I would I'd tie a fly on, tie me a little leader off the hook, tie me another fly on, get one on, let him swim around until I got 5 on.
That's a Sabiki rig. That's what they do in the saltwater to catch all the bait.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Wow.
Well, I guess I did. You could have. You stole my thunder. I thought I invented the Alabama rig, and you're like, nah, you didn't.
Bad move, Matt. Hey, where's the stage at for the pond? How close are you to having it done?
It's only like 2 or 3 foot from being full. So
really
it's close. Yep. Fish got put in last spring. I got about 2,500 brim, 3 different species, and 200 bass right now.
Yeah.
Would you go reddy or sunfish?
So I got them, and then I got some shell crackers, and then some just regular bluegill.
Dude, I like your style. I love catching crappie and bluegill and stuff like that. It's so underrated for the guy. I mean, I feel like you can get so burned out just doing the same thing in a bass boat over and over, and just like little chunk of nightcrawler, gold Aberdeen hook, go out there, just and they go in circles, keep you a half dozen of them, and it's phenomenal.
Yep, watch that bobber go in. It don't matter what I don't care what baits, graphs, whatever they come out with, there's still nothing like watching a bobber go under the water.
He's right. He's right, man. That's cool stuff. All right, Andy, a lot of people, man, they want you to come on more often, so we'll try and get you on the show numerous times in the first half of the year here on BTL. So thank you so much for taking time out. Best of luck to you in 2021, and we'll look forward to having you on very, very soon.
Sounds good. Next time we'll start with these instead of the AirPods. Right?
Yeah. We got that worked out now. Now we know.
There we go.
All right, man. Best of luck to you, Andy. Take care, dude.
All right, man.
All right.
See ya.
See ya. There you have it, folks. Andy Montgomery.
Gave up some juice. Some dirt.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Thrift was
No, I had no
that
idea.
organized.
No.
It's funny. So I see the comment on there. It's like, oh, Matt going on about the finesse jig. So I did Travis Manson's After Hours. I wasn't even on the show. Just jumped on his live stream. And Travis asked us if you could identify as a lure, what do you identify as?
And the response was?
I said a finesse jig.
Why?
And we had been going at, it was like
There's
2
some
hours
drinking
into it. It
probably
was like
involved.
11:30 at night.
Was some alcohol involved?
Yeah, not bad. I mean, I just had a couple beers.
Okay.
And, the first guy who went identified as like a whopper plopper and monkey butt color, which is like a really good one. And I was just out and I wasn't exactly sure, but I ended up saying a finesse jig.
Wow.
And then it got me thinking, what do you identify as, Jeffries? And it would have to be a Zara spook.
Probably.
Have to be.
Yeah.
Like,
Probably
I mean, not like what do you like to fish?
No,
but like,
just
what do you identify? And I was like, how does Travis come up with that stuff?
I don't know.
It's not a PG show towards the end, so I mean, if you're gonna go back and watch the replay, don't watch it.
Okay.
Well, Brian the Carpenter was on there. and other
Children
guys
should
were
not
on
watch
there.
that then, huh?
It's a lot. That East Coast, they go
Was it
hard.
PG-13 or R?
I mean, it was. I mean, I was G. I was
No,
fine.
I'm talking about the whole end of the show. Is it just PG or rated R?
I mean, depends on how many words you want your kids to learn.
Well, if they use the F word, it's rated R.
Then it was rated R.
Okay. I mean, that's the simple line in the movies. If you
not an overabundance, but it cropped up every now and then.
Well.
But anyway.
Anyway.
The whole thing was I identify as a finesse jig, which I have thought way too much. It's like bothered me that was
jig.
what popped into my head.
Well, at least you didn't say a wacky worm.
That would have been my second guess.
Yeah.
I should have said so. I mean, there's so many cool baits. A glide bait.
Yeah.
I went with finesse jig and then doubled down on it.
And tried to explain it.
Oh, for like 5 minutes.
Interesting. Wow. All right. Great stuff with Andy. And
my wife is a Carolina Rig.
Close. Carolyn's close. Anyway, I want to thank Andy. Great stuff. And
Mark, you're a jitterbug because it's the only lure that has a polo collar.
That's pretty good. They're coming up with some good ones. You ever thrown a jitterbug?
I have.
Yeah.
Dude, they freaking work.
Threw him at 10 killer. I remember me and a guy named Tom Meeker, who I used to work with at UPS, went out and caught a ton of fish on a jitterbug.
Unless you just slowly reel it in. Just woo, woo, woo. I don't know why would that not work right now?
Why would that not in the wintertime?
No, not right now, but in this day and age.
Should. It did. I don't know. I haven't thrown it for ages.
It's got the flash. It's got a different sound to it.
We had a black and yellow one.
Our listeners are on fire tonight. Andrew's suggesting day 4 on Jitterbugs with Frank. Pull his Jitterbug box
we'll pass it on.
There's only one color. It's that kind of cute green with the yellow on the back that actually looks like the frog.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the classic Jitterbug color.
Yeah.
I mean, you can buy a Jitterbug. It costs $30 and it's made by Japanese companies and everybody's like, oh, look at this. This is freaking awesome. It's a Jitterbug. Molix makes one in a soft plastic.
Yeah.
Like a frog that you reel in. It's like, woo, 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 and it wobbles back and forth.
Yeah. All right. Well, you don't want to miss Thursday, the Rogue Show with Frank Scalise coming up on day 4 with Frank. So we've been talking about that, and definitely do not want to miss that. Tomorrow, first-time guest on BTL, Matthew. KJ Queen, Elite Series rookie, and very interested. The guys had success. Obviously,
he's gonna catch him.
Yeah, a lot of I wouldn't say hype, but a lot of build-up and expectations for this guy. Is that about right?
Yeah, I don't know him. I know some guys who know him. I know that he is going to catch fish.
Okay. Matt knows.
I think he might.
All right.
He might be the rookie of the year.
That's your early pick, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will talk to him tomorrow.
I don't know. I might have to go either him or Gleason.
All right. Oh, by the way, man, a lot of people, are you getting the fantasy fishing thing set up? The group?
Yeah, I will. I didn't know everyone wanted to set their teams weeks in advance. I'll get in there.
They do. I'm already getting emails about it.
Do the BTL.
So we will have the...
You got a sweater vest to give away to the winner?
The red one.
Perhaps a used ball cap. A XXX from a sweatshirt from a high school you no longer coach for.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I'm down to 239. I'm down 21 pounds.
Maybe a graph from 2002.
No, it's on the boat already, man. Can't give that one away. That one's on the boat.
Some open tackle that's only slightly rusted. Vintage Jeffrey's giveaways over here.
Yeah.
A pair of muddy Nikes. I'm giving you a hard time, man.
You are, man.
You do a lot of good stuff for the listeners. Hell, you're giving away. You're giving away a chance to Marshall for free.
Yeah.
You just have to come on the show and do it. That link is still live on the website, basszone.com. Sign up for it. There's a thing you fill it out. If Jeffries likes, he's going to randomly pick one. He's going to pick one based on like a 2-sentence essay that you have time to type in there, and then he'll let you know, and he'll pay your $100 entry fee for a Marshall, provided you come on and talk about it on BTL.
That's it. All right, we're going to run that probably through next week, so still plenty of time to register for that. And then we will get the event set up on when you can come on BTL and talk about your experience. All right, KJ Queen tomorrow. Scalise, day 4 on Thursday. That's it. We are out of here.